to get where they went. But when they got there, they did incredible things. They had to be resilient and tough at times, but they were defined by their passion, patience, and goodness. And for that, they are legendary. I see this book as a sibling to my first, but I don't think of it as the boy book or a book for boys. My books are for all readers. Here, I feature the stories of men, but they are for everyone, just as Little Leaders is. Whoever you are, there's a story for you in the bios that follow. The little legends are here to guide you on this journey throughout history. Let them inspire your future.
Benjamin Banneker, 1731 to 1806. Inventor, farmer. Although Benjamin attended school for only a few years before working on his father's farm, he loved to read and study. He became so good at math that people came from all around Maryland to test him with questions. They were amazed at how quickly he answered them. He would ask math questions too, writing them as poems. Benjamin wanted to use his abilities to help people. At 15, he created an irrigation system that kept water flowing to his farm's crops. It was so effective that even during droughts, the Banneker farm flourished. In 1753, he became fascinated with a friend's watch. Watches were rare at that time, and his friend let him borrow it. Benjamin studied the watch and eventually built his own full-size clock, the first built in America. News of Benjamin's clock spread throughout Maryland, and he was approached by George Ellicott, a landowner and amateur astronomer. The two became friends, and George lent Benjamin some of his astronomy equipment and books. Benjamin became obsessed with the stars, lying down outside all night to observe the skies, then going to sleep after dawn. When people saw him in bed during the day, they thought he was lazy. As his knowledge grew, Benjamin even spotted errors in George's books. Around 1791, Benjamin wrote an ephemeris, a chart of the movements of stars and planets. George's cousin Andrew read it and asked Benjamin to be his assistant for a very special project, surveying and designing land that would become Washington, D.C., the young nation's new capital. Benjamin agreed, and they set to work. When his project with Andrew was over, Benjamin returned home and worked on an almanac, a book about upcoming natural events. He used his writing to speak out about the injustice of slavery and defend the humanity and intelligence of Black people. Benjamin was an exceptional scientist and inventor who, through quiet observation and diligent work, helped shape American history.
James Armistead Lafayette, 1748 to 1830. Revolutionary War Spy. Not much is known about James's life before the Revolutionary War. He was born enslaved in Virginia, and his owner, who managed military supplies, taught James to read and write so he could be a better worker. During the war against the British, James heard that any slave who fought for the Americans' Continental Army would be freed if the Americans won the war. He got his owner's permission to enlist, and in 1781 was assigned to serve under Marquis de Lafayette, a young French aristocrat fighting for the American cause. At first, James used his knowledge of the Virginian landscape to transport messages. But then James and Lafayette had a better idea. James could spy on the British. Posing as a runaway slave, James went to the British camp commanded by Lord Charles Cornwallis. James helped lead troops through the unfamiliar land. No one suspected that he could read and write, so generals and other soldiers talked about their tactics in front of him, and he was given access to British maps and plans. Secretly, he memorized details and reported back to Lafayette. James became so trusted by the British that he was asked to spy on the Americans. He agreed, but gave the British only false information. Equipped with James's accurate information about British troop size, strategies, and morale, the Continental Army defeated the British at Yorktown, effectively ending